Situated in the north of France, a mere 2-hour drive from Calais is arguably the best fishery in the whole world if you're a carp angler. It is of course this place, Abbey Lakes. The site offers 5 lakes of interest to the carp angler, offering sport for novices and experts alike. The complex at Abbey Lakes is really well maintained, even down to the roads that go all the way around every single lake. Now on that subject, you can drive to your swim and you can park behind it virtually wherever you fish.
Everything's here. There's a restaurant, bar on site where we can cook on the bank, parking behind the swims, the fish are fantastic, the waters are really nice.
Most people don't get a great deal of time to go on holiday, so you want an element of comfort with your fishing. So to have clean, tidy facilities to go and have a shower, clean up, it just makes the holiday a bit more relaxing.
There's something for everybody. If you've got a group of friends with all different capabilities, you can come here, spread yourselves out, meet in the bar at night for a beer and a chat and just keep on fishing.
It just looks like a nice holiday venue, what it should really look like. A lot of character about the place, a lot of nice overhanging trees in and out the lakes, lovely.
It's a venue I'll keep coming back to because there's always, the fish are growing. The other lakes on the site have got fish getting bigger and bigger, so it's worth coming out and fishing the different lakes. There's always something different to fish every time you come.
Big fish, friendly faces, can't really ask for much more.
I've been coming here since 1999 and over the years I've seen it mature from the initial doubles water that it was to the incredible specimen complex that it is now. This is Abbey Lakes. Now Heron Lake is my personal favourite on the complex, 35 acres roughly shaped like an F, and this is the quiet bay at the top of the F. Why is this important? Because this is where the lake record was caught from. 81 pound, 4 ounces, yes, 81 pounds. It's one of the only 80 pounders that you can gain easy access to in the whole of the world. And what about the rest of the fish? Well, there are a plethora of massive, beautiful looking creatures in the Abbey Lakes complex, particularly in Heron Lake. There's a couple of 360s, there's about 25 to 30 different 50s, there's an awful lot of 40s, massive head of 30s, and of course a load of backup 20s as well. This is Fox Lake. It was the first lake to open on the Abbey complex and it is a real gem. Roughly pea-shaped, it's 25 acres in size and it holds an absolutely massive, and I mean massive, head of 30 and 40 pound fish. What about 50s? Well, there's about a dozen of those. 60s, we've got 2. Biggest one of those, 69 pound 12. It's a fish called Humpy and it is a real whacker. Now, tactics wise, it's weedy, it's very, very clear, and there are crayfish. 3 problems, admittedly, but they are easy to get round. Get your bait choice right. If you have a bait boat, it's a great place to use one because you can put your bait down very, very precisely. And big hits are on the cards. Well, this is Kingfisher Lake. It's the biggest lake on the Abbey Lakes complex. There's quite a lot of 30s, there's a good head of 40s, there's a few 20s as well as backup fish, and they have been caught to over 50 pounds. Now, tactics wise, it's quite weedy, it's quite deep, you need a boat, but basically it's well worth fishing. Meet Attila Lake. This place is 17 acres and this is the runs water on the complex. This is what Abbey used to be like when we first opened 12 years ago. Chuck a rod in the water, throw a bit of bait around it and it'll rattle off with a fish that's probably between 17 and 28 pounds. There's a lot of doubles in the upper double bracket. Now there's a fair head of 40s and there are 1 or 2 fish over 50 pounds as well. Reed fringed, it's fairly shallow in the margin so it can be quite weedy, and the best tactics on here are pellets, particles, pile it in and haul them in. Well, this is Wildball Lake and this is one of the new projects on the Abbey Lakes complex. It's about 8 acres in size and it's really interesting on the bottom. Like many lakes on the Abbey complex, it's fairly steep-sided, quite deep in the margins, but there's loads and loads of underwater features here. So get the marker float or the bait boat with the echo sounder on and just have a look and try and find some of those features. From 2012, it's going to be operating as a renter lake. What I mean by that is that if there's a group of 6 of you, you can have this lake purely to yourselves. No one else is allowed to come anywhere near you, and there will be a chalet with showers, toilets and freezers on site. Now, what about the fishing? It's currently got a record of 44 pound, but it will be having fish well over the 50 pound mark. It's going to be a lake that has 30s, 40s and 50s. Well worth a look. Right then, let's have a little look at HMS Husey, but before that, we'll talk about the rig that we're putting into it. Very straightforward, lead, nice supple hook link. This is Fox snare. Hook there is an SSBP size 5 armour point, longish hair, and I've got this time just a little yellow bait. So, pop him in the boat and shut the trapdoor. Onto that, I'm going to put a little PVA stocking bag of pellets. Now I like to soak these in cell, and you'll notice in there I've got a small little foam nugget. That's one of these kiddies, and the idea behind that is to get the hook, pop it in to the foam and through the bag, and that does two things. Firstly, it stops anything tangling. Secondly, it stops the hook point catching on any of the pellets. And then there is another little addition on there, in that when I know that bait is on the bottom, the nugget will pop to the surface and be absolutely fine. Now, word of warning here, we've got to get some pellets in the boat first, because if that boat is wet, then your PVA will melt. So, a few handfuls of pellets, there's probably, I don't know, half a pound there. Drop that nicely onto the boat. And then, in addition to pellets, I like to put some ground bait in. Now, I've got a really nice mix here. There's pellets, there's hemp, there's a few chopped bits and bobs, including some corn and some boilies. So, this works very well at Abbey. I'm going to put a couple of balls in, between golf ball and tennis ball size, and then a loose sprinkling as well. And that will really draw the fish in. It will particularly draw the small fish in, and if the small fish are in, the big fish will soon follow. And then, after that, the last thing we want to put in is a few more boilies as well. Now, you've heard me mention it before, this is cell. It's mainline. More of this goes into this complex than any other bait. So if you are coming over, what I always say to customers is bring the bait that you're confident in, but whatever you do, bring some cell, because the fish absolutely love it. So, a sprinkling of those in there as well, and that's it. HMS Husey is ready to set sail. One of the most commonly asked questions that I get is, what bait should I take to Abbey Lakes? And the answer is always the same. Firstly, take what you're confident in. If you've got a bait at home that you know works, bring it over, because it will probably work here. However, we do have a default setting, and I'll show you what mine is. For a start, Abbey Lakes fish absolutely love pellets. So get yourself a nice mix of fairly oily pellets. They do sell them out here as well, and the standard Abbey Lakes pellets get sent into the lake an awful lot. Now, in addition to pellets, I like a nice ground bait spod mix. In here we've got some corn, we've got some hemp, we've got some chopped boilies, we've got some pellets, and we've also got some ground bait. And it's absolutely superb. A bit of liquid cell in there as well. You can ball it together and throw it out in balls like that, or alternatively, pop it in the bait boat and feed it loose. So what about boilies themselves? Well, you've heard me mention cell. Cell is the bait that goes in here more than anything else, and the carp out here, irrespective of which lake you're on, absolutely adore it. Remember that, mainline cell, that's a winner. So, what about the hook baits? Well, hook bait choice, again, is a very personal thing, but I like to bring a variety of them, which I've got down here. So, firstly, the default one. They're the cell dumbbells. Perfect for on the hook, and I've got some pop-ups in there as well, so if I want to raise a bait off the bottom, I'll use the pop-ups, but normally I'm using the straightforward hookers on the bottom. If I fancy something bright, the high-vis pop-ups, Frutella, in orange, or alternatively there's some pink ones as well. If you're struggling on the bottom and not picking fish up, then try a little flash of colour. Now, speaking of colour, white is excellent, especially if you're up in the water. The Fox Lake fish, they love to take baits mid-water and up towards the surface. So, zig rigs, white baits, don't forget them too. And finally, just to combat the crayfish, something we found out here is these bankside D livers, in the bottom baits or the wafters, seem to avoid the crayfish. I've got no idea why, because they do like the pop-ups, but the bottom baits and the wafters are very, very good. So as a hook bait, just to avoid the crays, deliver wafters. Now finally, the other thing that you need to be bringing out are some high risers. Some of this foam just keeps the hook point out of the weed, keeps it nice and clean, and basically that's it for bait.